Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and we try to isolate an element of the race that we might look back on later as having been a key to finding the winner. Well, Sunday racing this week at Sha Tin, Group 1 racing, but we're going to look at a couple of races from the support program, and the first we're going to look at is race 4, our winning factor here, the draw. And the horses that stick out for me in this race are Circuit 3, who made a good return to racing last start, Mighty Giant, who's racing particularly well, and Vital Spring, who doesn't win often, but he is getting close to another success. And his infrequent record of winning is what pushes Vital Spring to third place out of those three for me. We're going to take a look at what the other two have been doing, and first of all, Mighty Giant. Now we're going back to the end of December here. This is race 289, and he only scrambled home here, beating Fantastic Show, who meets him again in this race. But I think if you look at the heat map at the bottom of the screen there, the mid-race splits are very strong, and Mighty Giant up on the lead did plenty of work through that middle part of the race, and he was a sitting shot to be run down in the home straight, but he managed to cling on and win in what was a much better effort than it might have looked at first glance. Since then, Circuit 3, 2 days later, was back at the races. Now, he was a horse that showed a little bit of promise last season, had a setback in the early part of this season, so he's been a while getting back to racing, but this was a new personal best from Circuit 3. He looks to have come back very well. We're taking a look here at race 298. Now, he drew wide here. Chad Schofield rode him, and in the black colours he goes back all the way to last early so that he doesn't cover ground. And you have a look at the heat map on this one, and there was a little softening up of the leaders in the second split, but overall it wasn't a crazy pace. So the horses coming from out the back weren't overly advantaged, and to get that close, Circuit 3 needed to run the fourth fastest final 400 metre sprint of the day for the circle races at that meeting. So between those two, it looks a classic confrontation, this race, of the horse who's going to be up on the speed versus the horse who's going to be giving him a start. And how the race lays out is going to determine who ultimately comes out on top. And if we take a look at the map, the key for Circuit 3 here, I think, is the switch from gate 12, going all the way back to last, first up, to gate 8. And although he hasn't always had the best relationship with the start to Circuit 3, I think we saw last season he was mostly in midfield from this sort of draw, and that means he'll be 2 or 3 lengths closer than he was last time. And between Mighty Giant, Warlord, Carefree Prince, and possibly Supreme Plus for Alfie Chan, there looks to be a good consistent speed in the race, so running on will be no disadvantage. So the tip in race 4 is Circuit 3. His winning factor, the draw. Having a better draw this time, I think we might just see him within a closer striking range when they turn for home, Circuit 3. And if he can produce that sort of finish again, he'll be too strong in the run down the straight. The second race we're going to take a look at is one of the most interesting races of the day. In fact, to me, the most interesting outside of the Group 1s. And that's race 9, and our winning factor here, the sectionals. And to me, this race is all about two horses. Now, sure, Raging Storm has finally drawn a good gate again, and I think he's going well enough to be a threat in the race. And also down in the weights, we've got Duke Y coming off 3 straight wins, and he's one of my favourite angles, a last start winner up in class, and you've got to respect him. But I think this is going to come down to two horses, and they are Beauty Applause and Computer Patch. And that's where I'm going to focus in this race, on those two horses, and many punters will do the same, drawing a line through their appearance against each other in a race on December 21. But I want to take you back to the first appearance in Hong Kong of Computer Patch, and that was 6 days before in race 254. And you see him here in the predominantly white colours, going back from the outside draw to the rear of the field, under Sylvester de Souza, who rides the horse again on Sunday. Now, as you see on the heat map here, the leaders were just steady for most of the race. Then they dashed home from the top of the straight, and that was a big disadvantage to horses trying to finish from out the back. but Computer Patch pulled almost 5 lengths off the leaders here in the final 400 metres, running easily the fastest last 400 metres of the meeting. And that was an outstanding performance that set him up as a horse to follow. Now, unusually, John Moore took him back to the races very quickly, Computer Patch, 6 days later in fact. And the punters knew what they'd seen the week before and sent him out a 1.5 favourite to win this race. And many would say that only a brilliant tactical ride from Zac Purton got him home in a tight finish. And we're going to take a look at that race now. And this is race 271. Looked a 2-horse race on paper, and I think Purton was very conscious of that. And after Beauty Applause crossed early to take his usual place in the lead, Purton clearly didn't want the other horse to get too much start on him. So he put Computer Patch up on the lead, in fact outside the leader, Beauty Applause, and there they stayed to the top of the straight, and from there it was a head-and-head battle down the final 400 metres. Now, he got the result, which is the aim of the game, but I think that we might not have seen the best version of him as a result. Now, if you're doing your form the old-fashioned way, there's a weight turnaround of a few pounds here, which might make Beauty Applause your pick in this race as a result. But as I said, I'm not sure that we saw the best version of Computer Patch there, considering the complete change of tactics and the quick backup 6 days after his first appearance in Hong Kong. And the graphic I'm going to show you is looking at the sectional times, comparing those races and also one other race that Beauty Applause has won recently. And one thing does have to be noted up front: the Sha Tin track for race 254 was considerably faster than it was for the following week. So in my view, the race times overall were not dissimilar between those two races once you factor in the speed of the track. But you can see there's a massive difference in how Computer Patch finished off the race. Beauty Applause was around his usual sort of finishing speed, but Computer Patch regressed sharply. So let's take a look at how Sunday's race lines up. And when we take a look at the draw, inside gate here for Computer Patch, and that makes me wonder whether they'll be tempted to ride him as positively again, and I certainly hope they don't, because there are a few that might keep Beauty Applause company a little bit up front to get him at least rolling at average tempo. And to me, the best chance of Computer Patch repeating those first up sectionals is to sit a little bit further back than he was last time. So the tip in race 9, Computer Patch. His winning factor, the sectionals. Now, when we look at his career in Australia as a 2-year-old Computer Patch, I think it was notable he was at his best ridden cold there and producing a big finish, the kind of thing we saw from him first up. Now, perhaps the combination second up of the quick backup, but also a change in tactics. We didn't quite see the same finish from him. I'm hoping that he's ridden a little quieter here and that we see those big sectionals, and even if he gives Beauty Applause a start, he'll be too fast for him. Well, that's it from the winning factor for this week. Good luck on Sunday. Enjoy the Group 1s. We'll see you next time.